Good evening once more and welcome to the program. Contrary to early theories, children are not super spreaders of COVID-19, according to the Ministry of Health. In the daily COVID-19 updates in the country, the Health Ministry says a small number of children develop severe form of COVID-19, resulting to prolonged stay in intensive care unit care. To date, 6 children under 10 years have died from the disease. At the same time, Kenyans have been warned not to let the guard down as the curve is yet to flatten. Have a look.
For the past week, the COVID-19 numbers have been fairly low, with many Kenyans speculating if the curve is flattening. However, this is far from the truth, according to the Director for Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth.
A decreasing positivity rate, which as of today stands at 6%. So that is you are making progress, but you have not hit the magical 5%, which we need to hit and sustain for 2 weeks before we can actually say that we are flattening the curve.
Amoth says the next 3 weeks are critical in determining the curve and whether the COVID-19 restrictions will be lifted or not.
So the next 3-4 weeks will be critical to be able to tell us whether we hit the magical 5% and we sustain that positivity rate for 2 weeks, in which case we can conclusively say that we have flattened the curve.
The global pandemic has not spared children either, as at now 767 children under the age of 10 have contracted COVID-19, with 4 of them dead.
On the other hand, 430 under 5 years have been confirmed positive, with 2 dying within this age group.
Even before the COVID-19 pandemic, neonatal mortality had remained stagnant in Kenya, with newborn deaths under 5 years accounting for 42% of all deaths. From today's update, a 2-month-old infant is among the 193 people who tested positive for COVID-19, raising the country's total caseload to 32,557.
Nairobi 78, Ebru 24, Garissa 21, Kiambu 18, Nyeri 13, Mombasa 10.
Health CAS Dr. Rashid Aman says the government has put in place several measures to prevent child mortality, including
proper care, comfort and monitoring of mothers in labor to reduce incidences of intrapartum complications.
Another 225 patients have recovered from the disease, bringing the total number of recoveries in the country so far to 18,895. However, 6 more patients succumbed to the virus, raising fatalities to 554. Winnie Lubembe for Ebru TV.
Moving on, at least 25 youth groups have joined the push to have public officials who oversaw the loot at the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency KEMSA, creating overnight millionaires, swiftly investigated and prosecuted. The groups want President Uhuru Kenyatta to address the nation on allegations of corruption at KEMSA and in county governments, which are putting at stake billions of shillings in donor funds.
The demand for accountability in the use of billions of shillings allocated for the COVID-19 interventions continues to gather momentum, with youth groups, which comprise of civil societies and non-governmental organizations, calling upon the relevant institutions to take action.
It is very sad indeed to note that there are people who are becoming rich amidst a pandemic that is making young people poor, that is making young people resort to crime.
Next, we shall come for you in the offices because we are tired of you. We are being paid on our taxpayers' money. Youth have no employment, have no jobs. As you are seated here, we are here to address the press because we don't have jobs.
They want the government to provide full closure and accountability for all COVID-19 funds from all sources, including loan grants, donations, in-kind support both locally and internationally.
But as young people and as Kenyans, we demand that we want to see accountability from the side of the government to this accountability of these funds.
The lobbyists also complained that the current loopholes have led to the overpricing of commodities, purchase of substandard PPEs, embezzlement of commodities including donated PPEs, failure of the PPEs to reach those who need it the most, including healthcare workers on the front line fighting COVID-19. This comes at a time when the opposition party, the Orange Democratic Movement, is on the receiving end for issuing a statement that appeared to be defending those suspected of stealing COVID-19 funds and dismissing reports that money had been stolen at KEMSA.
You owe us accountability. You owe us respect for our taxpayers' money. You owe us the resilience that you showed when you came to us to look for votes. So please, we put you there to represent us, not to represent your own interest. And for that, as young people of this nation, we are watching you.
However, responding to the backlash, ODM leader Raila Odinga defended his party position on the alleged theft of COVID-19 billions, saying his call for a forensic audit was not a defense of the suspects. In a statement, Odinga said a special audit of COVID-19 funds was the only way for Kenyans to know the whole truth. Busara Naman for Ebru TV.
Now, for the fourth day, health staff workers have downed their tools and abandoned their stations over what they claim is unpaid salaries and other welfare concerns. This comes with the country staring at a health crisis as there are fears that the COVID-19 infections are on the rise.
Despite this grim reality, one would expect that hospitals and health workers, the soldiers in the front line, would be in overdrive preparing the big battle ahead. The crisis comes as infections are surging, particularly in cities like Nairobi, and intensive care units in hospitals are filling up with coronavirus patients. Speaking during a press briefing at Kenya Medical Association, the Secretary General of Nairobi branch of the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentist Union, Thuranira Kaugiria, says that they have vowed to continue the strike until their grievances are heard by the government.
Immediate release of salaries of 5 medical specialists can be done immediately. Payment of locum doctors can be done immediately. Setting aside an isolation facility for doctors, they have set aside a hotel. We don't want to be treated in a hotel. We work in hospitals. At the very least, I should be treated in a hospital. So signing an agreement with a facility to provide an isolation space for doctors, that can be done immediately. So there's nothing like we will be waiting for us to agree. We give them timelines. We're not doing timelines anymore.
The doctors working in Nairobi County are threatening to continue the strike with grievances including lack of health insurance and county isolation for HCPs, including doctors working in Nairobi County, non-payment of salaries for doctors contracted on locum basis for the last 6 months, discrimination of payment of medical doctors' interns allowance.
There's discriminatory payment of medical doctors' interns allowances. There's lack of promotions and proper job designations for consultant doctors working in this county. There's continued human resource for health shortages and lack, of course, of proper PPEs.
More than 720 men and women entrusted with the task of stopping the virus are also sick and limping, while more than 16 have already succumbed to the virus. Already, the crisis is a reality in Nairobi, where more than 5 medical centers have been closed after workers contracted the virus. According to the Kenya National Union of Medical Laboratory, Officer Secretary General Eno Kwanyonyi says that they have tried to engage the government to caution the healthcare workers on COVID-19, as they had requested a medical cover since most of the health workers who contract COVID-19 stand on their own.
By last week, when we were issuing a strike notice, we were actually more than 2 months after the conciliation talks. And we've been writing. We've been coming on press, asking the government, why can't you do things? You promised 15 days. Why is the 15 days not coming? The 15 days that they had requested were not forthcoming. So we are forced to seek the only direction that we have is actually to go on strike.
The strike effect have now drawn the attention to the national government, with the ministry directing the health workers to enter into dialogue to address their grievances.
And I can assure you that as a ministry, we are working together also with the counties and the aggrieved parties in trying to address these grievances. And there are discussions ongoing. The ministry will be putting it in its effort in trying to diffuse this situation and to avert this strike.
Reporting for Ebru TV, I'm Dolly Mirigi.
On to some sad news, at least 7 people have been killed and 14 injured this afternoon after a lorry rammed into traders at Kaburengu Trading Center on the Eldoret-Webuye Highway. Confirming the incident, Kakamega County Police Commander James Ngetich said that the lorry lost control and veered off the road, crashing into traders selling goods by the roadside. The lorry, which was carrying gravel, was headed towards Webuye and investigations are underway to establish what caused the driver of the lorry to lose control of the vehicle. The injured are so far receiving treatment at Ebru Referral Hospital. Across our borders now, a Somali court today sentenced 4 government officials to jail for having a hand in the theft of public funds meant for COVID-19 emergency response. The Banadiri Regional Court, which covers crimes committed in Mogadishu and surrounding locations, found the 4 guilty following a case that drew public scrutiny in the use of the funds.
In what could make Kenyan authorities re-examine their commitment in the fight against graft, Somalia has now set the pace for the region in a first for a country marred by years of conflict. The case arose in April, just a month after Somalia reported its first case of COVID-19, with the Ministry of Health then revealing that a number of officials were under investigation for diverting public money. Court documents released on Monday did not indicate how much each of them stole, but the Ministry of Health said in April between $42,000 and $45,000 had been spent in unclear circumstances. A written verdict read by Justice Judge of the region stated that the court found the officials guilty of committing corrupt acts and sentenced them to different terms, as well as imposed varying fines. The jailing of the officials could sound a rare warning in a country largely considered one of the most corrupt in Africa. The country allocated some $5 million to an emergency fund for COVID, but appealed for more from donors. The Federal Minister for Health, Dr. Fauzia Abikar Noor, told the media there will be a thorough audit.
Way to go, I have to say. Now, in the next 24 hours, the country will know whether the Senate will be 10th time lucky in breaking the revenue-sharing impasse that has remained a pain in the neck of the upper house for months now. As of now, the 12-member committee tasked with finding a solution is yet to agree on a way out as time runs out and fast.
Then we can have the special sitting on Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. And hopefully, next week, 2:30 p.m.
The country is in the next under 24 hours likely to be treated to another round of the now perennial divisive sitting in the race to unlock the gridlock surrounding the division of revenue that has dogged the Senate for months now.
It will be immoral and ungodly for me, the senator of Kakamega, who got my leadership from God, to take away money from Turukana and bring it to Kakamega.
They want to make Murang'a County to lose 15 million today, not tomorrow.
If Senator Linturi is the expert in these matters, let's abolish the CRA and let's have Senator Linturi running the CRA.
This, as the 12-member Senate committee tasked with finding the common ground on the contentious formula is racing against time to explain just how the 47 counties are likely to share some 316 billion. Sources within the committee say that as of now, the team is yet to agree on how much the losing counties should give up to the more populous counties. Another possible way, according to the source, was the committee requesting for an extra 9 billion shilling, but the Treasury is said to have given the committee a cold shoulder.
Hii formula si ilitolewa na wale watu wa SRC, si imeenda Senate.
Senate's date with Kenyans come after days of interesting developments on the matter.
Ati kwa sababu inasemekana ati Nairobi ni mji tajiri, wewe ambao unaishi Embakasi na Korogosho bado unafunga choo kwa karatasi, lakini unaambiwa wewe ni tajiri, huna haki ya kupata pesa.
With the president breaking his silence on the issue on Friday, speaking the exact opposite with his deputy.
As I have said, it is possible for us to have a formula that gives Kenya a win-win scenario.
Factors that could be read as the lack of consensus among their lieutenants in the committee.
We are not going to say we are part of Kenya always. Imagine your hand telling you every day, I am part of your body. One time we will have to all accept that what belongs to Kenya belongs to all of us.
Now this also comes as some leaders of the losing counties continue crying foul, accusing the president of using the formula to twist them into supporting the BBI process.
Why do you want to camouflage and say after BBI the resources will be raised to 35%? What is stopping them today? Let them tell us it is this article of the Constitution, it is in this act that we need to amend to raise that revenue to 35%.
To the corridors of justice now, businessman Chris Obure and Robert Oko will know their fate tomorrow on whether they shall be detained for a further 14 days pending investigations into murder allegations or not. The two were today arraigned before Kibera law courts, where the prosecution sought more time to effectively carry out investigations into the murder of their friend Kevin Omwenga at Kilimani area here in Nairobi. Our reporter Jeff Haimba with more details on that.
The duo were on Monday arraigned before Kibra Principal Magistrate Derek Kuto vowed the shooting of Kevin Omwenga at the Galana Suit in Kilimani, Nairobi. The two businessmen, Chris Obure and Robert Oko, who had hoped to take plea, failed to do so after the prosecution team raised a miscellaneous application urging the court to detain the suspect for another 14 days in order to finalize the matter on claims if released they might interfere with key witnesses. However, this was opposed by the suspects through their lawyer Patrick Lumumba.
I'm also informed, Your Honor, that there were other witnesses who were present at the material time when the offense was being committed, allegedly by the first respondent. And the IO is apprehensive that there would be interference.
As related to the CCTVs, my learned colleague says that if the first respondent is allowed to enjoy his liberty during investigation, he will interfere with the same. Your Honor declined that invitation. The CCTVs are already in lawful custody of the police and other relevant authorities. How will the second respondent possibly interfere?
Investigating officer Bashir Boya, through his representative, told the court he is yet to record the statement, taking of the fingerprints, photo profiling, and taking the two suspects for the DNA sample for analysis by the government chemist and also mental assessment. The prosecution further submitted a prosecution act. They needed to also do a forensic study of the gun used in the shooting incident.
The firearm that was used to commit the offense was allegedly hid in an office belonging to the second respondent.
The firearm belongs to the second respondent, who is a licensed firearm holder. So when it is then said in submission and in the motion that the firearm disappeared mysteriously, it cannot possibly be true.
On Sunday, Robert Oko, the main suspect in the murder of businessman Kevin Omwenga, recorded a statement with the DCI detectives claiming that the shooting was accidental. Oko works as a bodyguard to Chris Obure. He is not a licensed gun holder. On Monday, the autopsy carried out by the government pathologist Johansson Odor showed that Kevin Omwenga was shot at close range and the bullet tore through the heart.
So the bullet actually came out. It went on the left side of the chest, then came out from behind on the left side also, going through the organs, vital organs, the heart, the lung, with internal bleeding.
The others questioned by the DCI detectives include Omwenga's female companion, who is a Tanzania national, his brother, and a man believed to be his employee running his errands. The house where the police found bottles of alcohol and shisha, where the occupants were believed to be having a party, has since been sealed off as the investigations goes on. Reporting for Ebru TV, I'm Jeff Haimba.
Still in the corridors of justice, the judiciary has been put on the spot for derailing development in the Ministry of Agriculture. The ministry's Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya calling out the judiciary for allegedly being used by a few high-profile individuals in the country to subvert justice by allegedly unnecessarily issuing court orders, injunctions that were detrimental to the development of the agriculture and fisheries sectors.
While inspecting the construction of an upcoming fish market in Malindi, Kilifi County, Agriculture CS Peter Munya says the judiciary had halted various projects in his ministry which have made the public fail to achieve important projects from the ministry.
Mara mingi makoti wanataka kujifanya sasa wao ndio kila kitu. Hawataki kufuatia ile utaratibu ya kuwa kuna serikali ya utekelezi na kuna serikali ya uamuzi.
The CS says the judiciary had stopped the repossession of various fish landing sites in the coast region, among them the Mayungu fish landing site, as well as projects in the tea subsector that would have boosted their livelihoods.
Justice is supposed to be even for those people, those small people who also have a right to live in this country, to also earn a living, to also get fair hearing. Iwezi kuwa kazi ya koti tu ni maintaining the status quo.
At the same time, Munya has asked the Building Bridges Initiative Secretariat to include recommendations on the powers of the judiciary in order to stop further delay in the implementation of projects for flimsy reasons.
Hatusemi asiamue, lakini amue kwa haki. Asiamue kusaidia yule ana uwezo zaidi. Hiyo ndio shinda tuko naye taifa la Kenya.
And with the judiciary demanding an increase in its budgetary allocation every year, the CS says its services to the public were wanting, as it appeared to be serving the interests of a few individuals.
Lakini kwa magazeti tunasikia kila siku whole court independence iongezwe pesa, inaongezwa sawa iongezwe. Lakini ikiongezwa tunaona maana gani tumeona?
The CS, who was accompanied by Acting Kilifi County Commissioner Josephat Mutisia, Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries County Executive Luciana Sanzua, and senior Kenya Fisheries Service officials also visited the Ngomeni beach landing site in Magarini sub-county, where the county government is building a fish market.
Now, a Kisii County resident has filed a petition at the High Court seeking orders to compel mobile telecommunication company Safaricom to disclose the total amount of money raised by Coalition for Reforms and Democracy CORD leaders to pay striking teachers in 2015. He claims that Safaricom, being the largest telecommunications provider in the country, has failed to protect its clients from offensive financial integrity as envisaged under the Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012. He says he has filed the petition as a member of public who is among Kenyan citizens who felt that they were duped by the leaders. During a rally at Uhuru Park in 2015, Odinga announced that he and his co-principal Kalonzo Musyoka had each deposited 100,000 shillings into the M-Pesa account. The petitioners also want to know if the contributed money was used for the intended purpose, that is, to paying striking teachers. Police in Kitui Central in Kitui County were forced to disperse angry residents of Mutendea village protesting against the construction of the Kitui-Kibwezi road that, according to them, was causing more harm than good. The residents accused the construction under the management of a Chinese firm for polluting their environment as it was ferrying sand and water from Mutendea River.
For hours, the angry protested barricaded the Mutendea-Siongila Maran Road, blocking the contractor's trucks from ferrying sand and water from Mutendea River, and all in one accord.
Mpaka changarawe pia. Na naacha barabara zetu zikiwa mbaya. Wakituachia mto imefungwa pia tunataka watuchimbie bohol. Na barabara hiyo enda count mpaka Teachers College pia itengenezwe.
Tuharibia kabisa, vumbi kila wakati, watu kukoa, kufanya nini, wanatuharibia kila kitu yote.
The Sinohondro Corporation, a Chinese farm building, the Kitui-Kibwezi Road, is accused of mining sand at the riverbed of River Mutendea, which has also greatly reduced its water levels. Township MCA Anthony Ndo, who had joined the demonstrators, demanded the contractor tarmacs the dilapidated access road overcut the area. Ndo further urged the contractors to provide jobs for the area youths.
And what we are demanding from them is either they tarmac the road, they drill a borehole, so that they can tap the water, and when they are leaving their place, they leave that ball to our people.
Badala ya utengeneze penye wanatumia kwanza wanaharibu. Penye wanatoa maji wanatuwekea siwe juko tunakunywa maji chafu. Wanatumia maji yetu. Wao wana uwezo wa kuchimba maji. Lakini wanatumia maji yetu na changarawe pia. Mito imekauka kutoka huko juu side za juu mpaka imekauka yote.
The area residents have now vowed to take further action if the demands are not met, including the contractor fetching sand elsewhere. Efforts to reach the contractor for the comment, however, were unsuccessful as calls and messages went unanswered. Mile Kisenya for Ebru TV.
Now, legislators from Meru County have accused the Jubilee administration of slow implementation of projects, unfair distribution of resources in the Mount Kenya region, and failure to address Miraa farmers' plight. 10 MPs led by Senator Mithika Linturi say that several roads whose construction started 3 years ago had stalled, while funds for 4 roads have been diverted by the Treasury.
The MPs say Meru had been sidelined in the allocation of the 540-kilometer Mau Mau road that will traverse Kiambu, Murang'a, Nyeri and Nyandarua counties at a cost of 30 billion shillings. The legislators called for urgent intervention to revive stalled projects.
And when we look at how the design, how the distribution of those roads is being done, we want to say that we are very, very uncomfortable as the people of Meru, and we demand that those kilometers of beyond 500 should find themselves, or some of the kilometers need to get themselves in Meru.
Linturi says they would work as a united front to ensure the county is not undermined in allocation of resources by the national government. The legislators say the Mau Mau road was meant to connect regions that were actively engaged in the struggle for independence, yet the distribution was skewed.
Nobody doesn't know what General Baimungi did. Nobody doesn't know the role that was played by General Matata in the struggle for independence. And for that matter, if these roads are supposed to honor the freedom fighters, Meru must be in a position to get a share.
Buri MP Mugambi Rindikiri and his Tigania West counterpart John Mutunga accused Treasury CS Ukuri Atani of diverting funds meant for 4 roads in Meru to Marsabit County.
Na kuna handi ambayo tuliwekania na serikali ya Jubilee. Ukienda Murang'a, ukienda Kiambu, ukienda Nyeri, Nyandarua, Laikipia, maneno yao yanasonga. Sisi wa Meru ni kelele, tupige kelele, ndio sasa tusikizwe.
Hapa ndio kulitoka watu wengi sana, wale waliuawa, wengine wakafinywa na plies, castration, ile wakati ya kupigana vita vya Mau Mau. Kwa hivyo mimi ilipaswa kwanza huku ikienda pande ile. It's not the other way around. It's not supposed to be the tail wagging the dog.
Meanwhile, they also called on the Ministry of Trade and the Foreign Affairs to move with speed to resolve the trade impasse with Somalia. They accused the Jubilee administration of lacking goodwill in addressing the market challenges facing Miraa. Mutunga said Djibouti, Mozambique and Congo were open for Miraa trade, but little was being done by the government to open up new markets. Currently, Somalia has been the only export market for Miraa, taking in more than 50 tons daily.
Time now for a very short break. When we come back, we'll be talking to seasoned advocate John Haminwa, who will be telling us his thoughts on the Constitution 10 years on. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Seasoned lawyer John Haminwa has blasted political leaders in the country for pushing for the amendment of the Constitution. Haminwa has urged leaders to embrace the current Constitution, which he believes cannot please each and every Kenyan. Have a look.
Good evening and thank you for joining us today, where we are discussing critical matters in the country pertaining to the 10 years of the new constitution, whereby it was promulgated during this month of August. And by today we are joined by one of the great legal experts in the country, that is John Haminwa. Wakili, thank you so for joining us today. And maybe firstly to begin on, We are celebrating 10 years of the new constitution. What exactly are the key milestones or the achievements we have made so far as a country?
Well, we have achieved a lot. If you may recall, under the old constitution, Kenya was a one-party state. Human rights were violated. People were detained without trial. We had disappearances of people. We don't know what's happened to some of them. Some of them left the country. The area of freedom of speech was very much narrowed. Parliament was not as effective as it should be. So we have achieved a lot under the present constitution. Ordinary people are able to question when their rights are being violated. The executive does not enjoy as much power as it used to enjoy before at all. Our judges are coming out with some very sound judgments on human rights, on constitutional issues. So we have actually, as a country, achieved a lot. And I may go further and tell you that our constitution is very much respected, not only in Africa, but in the entire world. The constitution of Kenya is very much respected.
Despite celebrating the new constitution, there has been infighting between the judiciary, parliament, and the executive arm of government, where it is said that the executive is actually twisting the other forms of government.
I criticize members of the executive, and I shall continue to do so. For instance, court orders are never obeyed at all. The Judicial Service Commission approved names of people to be appointed judges of the High Court and judges of the Court of Appeal. These people have not been sworn in as judges at all. In my view, this is extremely unfortunate. The President of the Republic of Kenya should proceed to swear in these individuals as judges. The outside world is watching us. International institutions are watching us. And they will only give us respect if they come to the conclusion or they form the opinion that Kenya is a country that is governed by the rule of law. I have personally gone through a very bitter experience. You remember the Kariobangi incident, where we got orders that people should not be, there should be no mass evictions at all. Yes. But still they went ahead and carried out mass evictions. Now, international law hates mass evictions. There are many people who have died in this country under very suspicious circumstances. Nobody is able to know who killed them, why they were killed. Some have just disappeared. Nobody knows whether they're still alive or dead. Some have left the country. They are living abroad in outside countries. Nobody knows why, rather they cannot be able to come back to the country at all. They are afraid that if they come back to the country, they may probably suffer punishment.
So the issue of the Miguna, what happened? Are you still pursuing the case?
We are still pursuing a case of Miguna. We got the orders from the judges, very experienced judges of the High Court. They gave us the orders. Those orders have never been enforced at all. And Miguna is languishing in Canada. He has children who are Kenyans. He has a wife who is a Kenyan. They have a home here in Nairobi. They cannot come to the country at all. We have appealed to the authorities that let Miguna come back. Nobody is prepared to listen to us.
Wakili, we are actually celebrating the 10 years of the new constitution amid a political debate to amend the same constitution. What exactly do you feel are the loopholes in the current constitution which you feel should actually be amended?
And my view is that we do not need any amendments to this new constitution at all. We do not need a new constitution at all. The constitution we have now is sufficient. All that we need to do is to give the judges time to be able to interpret it so that it is fully implemented in the country. And this thing that you are being told about the BBI and so on, we do not need it. this constitution is sufficient. We cannot keep on talking about constitutional amendments day after day at all. People have to work. People have to do something. And let us not, there's one point that we must appreciate as people. Any constitution can never be satisfactory. Take, for instance, United Kingdom, England. They don't have a constitution. They have done very well. Take America. America has got a few pages of the constitution. They have done very well. They have given their judges the opportunity to interpret that constitution. And that constitution is serving the community very well. The same with Kenya. Let us give our judges the opportunity to interpret this present constitution. So far, the judges have done very well. They have come out with some very sound judgments, which are even respected outside Kenya. But let us not go out for things like BBI. We want to have a new constitution. We need so that the country can be stable and so on. Much depends on the kind of people we have in the country. The problems we have are really with us as human beings, but not with the constitution at all.
But then, Wakili, you are actually saying so that there is no need of changing the new constitution. Yet the key political players in the country are now the ones pushing for all this.
Where we may have problems with are the people we elect ourselves to go and actually govern the country. So we have to look at the people we elect and make sure that we get the right people to be elected to go to county assemblies. We elect the right people to go to parliament. We elect the right people to go to the Senate. That is where we have a problem. We are electing people who are not the right people at all. We need to elect people that are right people to govern the country. Come 2022, people who are currently in the executive position, the president, the deputy president, the cabinet secretaries must go. Let us have new people to take over the country. The same applies to the county assembly. People who are in the county executive, the governors, and etc. Come 2022, let them go. We have new people.
And then another question, what exactly is your point in regard to the fight against corruption, a pandemic which has actually held the country since independence?
The best way is that let us choose the right people to hold the right positions. A lot of people we appoint to certain positions should not have been appointed at all, should not have been elected at all. And let the Kenyan person, when it comes to elections in 2022, choose very carefully as to who should be elected to go to parliament.
But also maybe you can share with us maybe your opinion in regard to the allegations about the misuse of the public funds mainly meant to fight the COVID-19 in the country.
I personally did not agree with the way we were handling coronavirus at all. And some of these problems I could foresee that are going to come up. Coronavirus is a disease that is like any other diseases we have in the country. We have diabetes, we have malaria, we have HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and etc. Now, coronavirus was blown out of size. It should not have been handled the way we have handled it at all. Let the economy be opened up. Regarding the funds and so on, there are a lot of things that have to be done. Let us carry out very effective investigations to find out exactly what happened with this money. Where did it go to? We seem to have received a colossal sums of money. Is it more than 200 billion shillings, which we seem to have received? It's a lot of money. Anybody who plays with money that has been sent here to help in coronavirus must realize that he's actually trading on a very, very delicate matter.
Thank you so much, Wakili, for sharing us that crucial information pertaining the current constitution and also the need for key politicians in the country to push for its amendment. And back to you for the viewers, we say thank you so much for tuning to Ebru Television. Good night.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff Haemba, for that. Time now to switch gears and have a look at what is the latest in the world of business. Welcome to Ebru Business. Over 10,000 farmers in Murang'a, Kiambu and Nakuru counties are keen on tracing their way back to organic farming to grow high-yielding vegetables free of toxins for profit. The farmers have been growing vegetables without synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, and the venture has been increasingly rewarding.
It's a Friday, humid morning at Kangari village in Subukia sub-county. On her 2 acres of land, Nyambura Karanja is harvesting vegetables for sale. Nyambura says for the last 1 year, she has been growing her vegetables without synthetic fertilizer and pesticides, and her venture has been increasingly rewarding.
Kilimo yangu ni ya mbolea ya ng'ombe. Nalima cabbage na terere na managu na sukuma na carrot. Iko mzuri, inapata 2,000 na 2.
Another farmer, John Karanja, says his venture into organic agriculture has handed him a lifeline and hopes to expand his manure enterprise into a jobs and wealth creation entity to help farmers participate in scaling down poverty, food insecurity, and expand production of safe food for the country.
Tulianza hii mpango wa kulima kwa organic. Hatutumii mbolea ile ya kawaida, tunatumia ile ya kutengeneza na halafu tunatanganya na ile ya ng'ombe. Ukitumia hii kwanza watu wanaaminika hapa wakuja kununua hii boga.
Experts in organic farming led by Dirangu Kariuki says the center is stepping up training programs on competitive organic farming for rural communities in targeted counties in the effort to help participants make sustainable livelihoods, help in the production of healthy food, and conserve the ecosystem, which has been damaged by years of heavy use of chemicals.
We train farmers in organic farming and we want them to improve on their nutrition and health, and also contribute in the conservation of the environment.
Professor Lona Biret says that organic farming is the untapped potential farmers locally ought to exploit. She says there are no coffee, banana and pineapple plantations in Europe, yet the value of this product in that market is 300% more if produced by organic methods than conventional farming.
Europe, America, Japan. Those are the leading consumers of organic food. They say, how was the food produced? By the small-scale farmer. How can I reward the small-scale farmer? The small-scale farmer was struggling to control all these, and I would like to pay enough to meet those. And the environment is taken care of, yes.
Last year, the value of organic agricultural products traded on the Kenyan market stood at 440 million shillings. Sales of fresh vegetables in the local market topped the list at 9,820 metric tons, followed by tea and rice cereals at 2,500 metric tons and 1,800 metric tons respectively. There are 30,000 farmers countrywide practicing organic farming. Reporting for Ebru Business, I'm Kaindo Stefano.
Our Equity Bank continues to make inroads in its innovation and digitization strategy that has seen its mobile and internet banking channels process 83% of transactions of all its transactions, And now that the bank has rolled out a universal number for all outbound communication to its customers and other external stakeholders, it hopes that the experience will be wholesome. Moving forward, customers will be contacted by one outgoing number from Equity 0763 000 000 and Equitel's main prefix 0763.
The rollout of the universal number is part of the bank's recent rebranding, where the company now presents itself as One Equity, a unified brand one-stop shop offering integrated financial services under one roof. The number embodies this goal by unifying all its outbound communication to customers and external stakeholders. This measure is also aimed at promoting safety measures when communicating to customers, thereby giving them confidence to know when their bank is calling them as part of customer service and relationship management. Speaking on the universal number rollout, Equity Group Managing Director and CEO Dr. James Mwangi said Equity rolled out 0763 000 000 number in an effort to improve customer experience. He said all equity customers and stakeholders will easily identify when their bank is calling them whenever they see the number displayed on their phone. Customers will continue to reach out through a 24-hour contact center by calling 100 call center number or 0763 063 000 contact center number. Dr. Mwangi also said that Equity has been continuously investing in secure platforms and capability to fortify relationship with customers. He pointed out that Equity obtained the prestigious Global Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard PCI DSS 3.1, becoming the first bank in the country and one of the first banks in East Africa to do so. This certification affirms Equity's adherence to international security standards related to the protection of customer information. Currently, 98% of all its transactions takes place outside the branch, solidifying the group's position as a digital financial service provider. The lender has over 14 million customers across the region, whose priority is the ability to transact digitally and conveniently in a secure manner. Reporting for Ebru Business, I'm Kaindo Stefano.
Well, time now for the latest in the world of sports, but after we look at how the shilling performed against other major world currencies. Welcome to Ebru Sports. Protocols for the resumption of sports in Kenya will be rolled out in the next 14 days. Stakeholders, including sports federations, have been given 7 days to review and give suggestions on how the draft resumption to sports protocols released by the ministry today. Subsequently, the ministry will take another 7 days for alignment of the protocols with the Ministry of Health before announcing the procedures. The resumption of sports will take place in 86 categories that have been put in 3 phases. The first phase being dedicated to medical and athletes tests, followed by the second phase, where the players will be required to resume training individually for 7 days before training in small groups for a week. Football, hockey, handball and basketball are some of the low-risk sports that the report has considered for reopening.
Have waited eagerly for the release of these guidelines by our ministry. Due to the nature of the pandemic, it was imperative to take a delicate, diligent process to satisfy Ministry of Health and World Health Organization directives on the same, including on public participation. The advisory committee will therefore make a comprehensive presentation, after which we will open a window of 7 days for stakeholder engagement and feedback. The guidelines will also be available on the Ministry of Sports, Culture and Heritage website. They will also be shared officially with all sports organizations. In view of this, I invite all of you to review the STEM and share your feedback via email at cabinetsecretarysports@gmail.com. I hope that we'll be able to complete this exercise as quickly as possible and roll out then a sports calendar.
World 1500 meters champion Timothy Cheruiyot made it 2 wins in a row as he stormed to a victory at the second leg of the Diamond League series held in Stockholm, Sweden. Cheruiyot picked from where he left at the Monaco meet a week ago as he led from gun to tape to clock 3 hours 30 minutes ahead of the informed Jakob Ingebrigtsen of Norway, who came home second.
A little look up at the screen, McSwain looking very comfortable indeed. So does Jakob Ingebrigtsen. These three moving away from Gomez. What has Cheruiyot got left? Will it be 11th time lucky for Jakob Ingebrigtsen as they enter the home straight? McSwain perhaps is spent. Cheruiyot then finds another gear. He's been really putting in some terrific work in training. Jakob Ingebrigtsen once again trying to get back onto the coattails of Cheruiyot, but once again it's Cheruiyot who has the final answer. He finds another gear, he pulls away again. It isn't another 3:30 performance or just under as in Monaco, but it's a respectable 3:30.
I'm made to understand that Timothy Cheruiyot was not crawling, he was running, so that was 3 minutes, not 3 hours. Now, Helen Obiri, who won 5,000 meter race in Monaco, was set for another epic clash with European 1500 meters champion Laura Moir of Great Britain, but struggled to keep the pace in the 1500 meters race as she came home a distant 11th in 4 minutes and 10 seconds. And it was a podium sweep for the Britons as Moir threatened the meeting record, winning the race in 3 minutes 57 seconds. Africa 1500 meters champion Winnie Chebet timed 4 minutes and 2 seconds to settle for the 4th spot. Well, that's all we had for you on this 24th day of August 2020. On a day, a court in Somalia sent the clearest of signals that it was not going to condone corruption. And we really hope that its neighbors, that is Somalia's neighbors, have really gotten a cue and will do something about corrupt government officials who, or rather allegedly corrupt government officials who seem to be untouchable. Thank you so much for watching Ebru Primetime News. My name is Mnene. Our sign language interpreter is Joyce Wairimo. Keep safe.